Hello, good morning, everyone. New co-host.
Where's Kaye?
Yeah. Morning, lad.
Hi, Nurse One. Hi, Marvin. Welcome to DMP an Immigration Nursing Talk Show. Today is December 3, Sunday. So as you know, I hired a new co-host. I already fired Dr. Nurse Paul and Clay. But putting aside, Dr. Nurse Paul is not feeling well, as well as Marvin. But Marvin, thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today. So, and we will have a very hot topic for today's Sunday show. One of the most or frequently asked questions in Lefora. But before we dive in, I would like to ask everyone to please keep sharing in your Facebook, in your page, with your friends. Knowledge is power, share so everyone can make an informed decision. I know when you were starting at your American Dream, a lot of people are, which state should I go to? Will the snow or no snow? Right? So please, everyone, keep sharing. Marvin, there's one.
Mhm.
And
Shared.
for those who are watching in Facebook, please keep sharing. Welcome, everyone. Today's show is dedicated to an important topic for immigrant nurses, choosing the right state for your nursing career. We'll explore key considerations, licensing insights, and factors that will shape your professional journey. Let's dive in and make informed decisions together. So, as we all know, I came from New York, but right now we will focus to one of the highest paid states.
Oh, okay.
A very good nurse and patient ratio, California, and nurse one is from Kentucky. But I will not introduce them. They will introduce themselves. So, who will go first? For Marvin, thank you for coming
All right.
and
Hi.
joining.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Buenos dias a todo. A very cold morning here in San Francisco. So I'm just actually recovering from was this a viral illness? So I hope everyone who's watching right now, please be safe. Please make sure that you guys mask, vaccinated, and then to Sir Paul, please get well soon. And then because like right now there's an increased risk of COVID and then also flu. So again, my name is Marvin, and I'm a nurse for about like 16 years, but I've been here in the US for about 8 to 9 years, and I live in San Francisco, California. So, good morning to each and everyone. Marhaba. I mean, good day to all.
You're already confused. You're in the US right now for
Yeah, I'm
Marvin.
in the US right now because of the cough and colds and the things that I took up last night. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so it made me confused a little bit.
You know where you're at. Time
Yeah,
zone.
yeah,
Alert,
yeah.
away, orient.
And GCS 15 and times 4.
Good. I work in the OR. You know, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna ask.
true. RAS score is 0. Just kidding.
Okay, how about you for Nurse One? I'm so happy that you're here. A
Oh,
lot of people are also asking about Kentucky, and your insight will be very helpful, Nurse One.
hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Nurse One. I'm a YouTube content creator focusing on helping Filipinos coming to the US by giving tips, mostly based on experience. And like Sir Marvin, follow Buenos Dias con todo. Mayong gabi sa tanan. Hello. So welcome to the show. And like other shows that or the aim for the admins, we're here to help you guys by doing more or a better selection of your choices coming to the US. There's always a better way. So it's always nice to listen to this kind of talk shows because it will help your future, especially for those who are starting. And by the way, congratulations to those who passed the
Yeah.
recent nurses licensure examination in the Philippines.
Congratulations to the new nurses. So,
Celebrate.
it's the best Christmas gift ever.
Yes, it is.
Yes, correct.
Best feeling.
Oh,
Oh,
here,
hi,
coming
Gabby.
in.
I miss Kay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was like having problem getting in. So it says there, oh, StreamYard is not supported with Safari. I'm like, what?
Uh,
But sorry for coming in a little bit late. I was having technical problem joining. Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Good afternoon. I've been hearing everybody coughing and sick. Marvin, I'm like you. I'm sick. I got the virus too. My daughter got it 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago, and I was down already on Thanksgiving. I'm still recovering. You
we're
know,
recovering.
they said masamang damo, matagal mamatay. So in English, if you're a bad weed, it's hard for you to die.
Yeah, what weed? What weed?
Okay, so first I have this question.
Oh,
Oh wait, let me say first. Hey, are you gonna represent Maryland or New York?
I can represent the entire Northeast coast if you want.
Yay! Okay,
Yeah, it's region.
so we're gonna need 2 hours. Okay, this question is very common. I receive a lot of questions about this. So, number one question: what are the specific licensing requirements for nurses in your state? Who wanna go first? For Marvin?
oh,
California
Marvin,
okay,
is so
we
a
go
lot of
by
work,
age.
right?
We go by age. So
Yes.
Marvin, go first.
okay. So I mean, California for most nurses is like the what they say like the golden state. So there are a lot of nurses who are from the Philippines who wanted to work in California for several good reasons. Number one is the high cost, high paying jobs, and then sometimes it ranges from 100 to $120 per hour, and that's usually common in Northern California. And then aside from that, there's a lot of Filipino communities. So in order for you to get into California, you have to get a license. Now, to be honest, I think this is the one of the most expensive examination by application itself. For international graduate like me, you have to pay by examination for international graduate. It's 750 USD. And aside from that, if you are licensed already from another state, you can also do the registered nurse endorsement application for international nurses, which is also $750. So aside from that, you'll be paying some fingerprinting, which costs $49, and then you have to get your credentials from your school, and then there's a lot of challenges regarding applications for document just to prove that you have not been to the US or you didn't miss any of your classes while you are in your nursing school. So the most important takeaway here, if you really wanted to go to here in California, is number one is to save money for for either license endorsement or first examination or through NCLEX, because again it is expensive. But again, once you get your California license and you'll be in California, then that $750 that you spent is actually worth it. So it's not easy to get in. There's a process. It may take about 3 months, some 6 months, depending on how you actually send your documents or your credentials. But again, based on experience, based on experience, by the way, it was only 150 before license endorsement, and it was in 2017. I mean, my original license is actually Texas, so I worked in Texas before for 4 years, and then my friends invited me to California. At first, I was anxious, and then it was only 150. But soon after, like the last 5 years, it increased exponentially. So that's what the requirement here in California. Again, you have to have your BSN and then pay the appropriate fees. Expensive with that, and also just wait and please respond to the correspondence, especially of your evaluator.
Thank you for Marvin. Originally, my NCLEX also was California,
Mhm.
and that
Same.
was 183. But then after some quite time, they're asking for a social
Yes,
security,
they're asking for
right?
social security number. They won't
Another
release.
limitation
Yeah,
for
they won't
California.
release your license unless you have social security number. That's
Mm-hmm.
why some of the nurses who passed the NCLEX exam before like 2010, they usually it's easy for them to get ATT for California, but thereafter it's
Mm-hmm.
difficult. Yeah, you have to get your SSN. Sorry, thank you for that, Miss Anna.
Yeah, I will never forget that one of the limitations in California is they asked me for SSN, and during those times, there was a progression. So I
Mhm.
endorsed mine to Vermont. So now, moving over to Nurse One. How about you, Nurse One? In Kentucky, what are the licensing requirements in there?
For Kentucky, usually it's like the basic thing in most states. Number one, of course, is NCLEX. It's easier versus you're getting from California. I took the California Board of Nursing NCLEX also before, but I wasn't able to process that because it was taking that too much time at the moment. So I just had my license endorsed from California to Kentucky. And for the English exams, of course, IELTS. And I think recently they added few more things for the English test. I think OET, MET, or what's that? I was looking at it. What else? So just look at the websites. There are a couple of more. I think most of the states right now, they are accommodating other type of exams for English. They're not as choosy anymore. I think even with the shortages for nurses, we really need to pull a lot of people. And for some nurses from the Philippines or other states, other countries, English exam is one of the things that they really struggle. Oh, some people will struggle with NCLEX, some will struggle with IELTS or English test. So hopefully having these kind of options will help guys. So other than that, I think it's not as hard to come into the Kentucky versus in California, or I think Illinois is the one of the hardest state also, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Right in there, Juan. So I would like to share mine. Like what I said originally, I'm from, I did my NCLEX to California, then enrolled to Vermont. Then after some time, Vermont was also asking for Social Security. So my agency told me, hey, Anna, you have to enroll to New York. But during my time in New York, they asked for CVS New York, credential verification, specifically for New York, that you can avail via CGFNS. So during that time, it was $800. So a lot of money involved. And I also did IELTS, like Nurse One said. Some people have struggled with NCLEX. I have struggled with my English test. I took IELTS 5 times, but I finally made it. So in New York right now, you can take your NCLEX without asking the local board exam in the Philippines, if you're from the Philippines. I am not sure if you're from the other country, but if you're from the Philippines, you can file for NCLEX without passing the local board. And right now, there are a lot of efforts from the Philippines local board. Congratulations again. If you do not make it, it's okay. You can still apply for NCLEX if you will choose New York. And last year or this past few months, New York, a lot of people are applying because they're very fast and their eligibility have no expiration or limitation. You don't need Social Security. You don't need CVS New York anymore. Just go for your school requirements. That's very easy, but a lot of people are applying and there's a lot of backlog. So that's my experience in New York. How about you, Kaye? Which state? Kaye has been through a lot of states.
I know. I was just around Northeast Coast, because I was dating my husband back then, and he's very clingy. He's very clingy. He doesn't want me to go outside Northeast Coast. So I initially got my license in New York, and like everybody said, it's easier to get to New York because you don't need Social Security to activate your New York license. So um although I had my Social Security when I got my license, because back then, during the old times, right, CGFNS exam was enough for me to get to the United States to be sponsored. But now, because NCLEX is being administered in the Philippines, then we don't need the CGFNS exam to be sponsored. It's easier to just get the NCLEX and then be sponsored. So my route was New York. But during that time, New York and most of the states are really not into compact. They want their own thing. So I started endorsing manually all my licenses to Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland. Because I'm a traveling nurse, I needed to have those licenses before I jump into new jobs. So the hardest probably for me was New Jersey back then. You'll be surprised that despite having Massachusetts endorsing my license to New Jersey, New York endorsing my license to New Jersey, Connecticut endorsing to New Jersey, Maryland endorsed to New Jersey. But during that time, New Jersey said, since you're a foreign grad, we need all your documentation again. So imagine being in the United States for 15 years and New Jersey licensure told me, we need all your credentials original being sent from your school, from PRC. It was a chaos. So New Jersey and CGFNS told me that I have to go back and get all my PRC requirement. But then my license in the Philippines was not actually active. So then in the Philippines, I had to call and have my license reactivated. And they told me I have to pay that 15 years of license that's not being inactive. So this is licensure around the different states will come with similar requirement like that. If you're been inactive with New Jersey, then you want to go back to New Jersey to work, they will reinstate your license only if you will have to pay through those times that you were not active. So again, each state will have their different little piece of rule that you will have to navigate. So the best way to really navigate through this licensure is calling directly the state where you are going. It's not easy. Sometimes the website is not sufficient, but I do recommend you calling and sending an email to get the best information. Because each state will have different rules, and each state will change the rules every now and then. Even if I know the licensure last year, it does not mean this licensure requirement will be applicable this year, because the rules of nursing, because of the shortage, is changing so quick. Again, the rules, the regulations of nurse licensure in the US is changing so quick to help shorten the shortage that the government is trying to combat. Not only the government, but I guess all the nursing organization, they're trying to find ways to um to help and cut that shortage, whatever shortage they're calling, right? um so that is, again, I'm licensed in Maryland, but I still have to look at the small fine prints of those information, because again, it changes quick. So New Jersey is compact already. New York is not compact, but they are still working on it. Connecticut is not a compact state. Massachusetts is not. Maryland is compact state. So I reside in Maryland. I can only go to compact states, and I don't need to get a new license. That I can just use my compact license from Maryland. But if I'm going to Connecticut, I cannot use that. I need to have a Connecticut license. And the good thing about Connecticut also is, in other states, there are temporary license that you can apply for. For example, I'm applying that time to Connecticut, and I need to start sooner, and I have active license in New York. What they did was they gave me a temporary license for a short time, and while they are processing my permanent license there. So you have to inquire about temporary license if it is applicable in that state, if they will give it while waiting for the real full licensure. Okay.
Okay. So, I just want to say hi to Miss Green Olivar, who's watching us, the mugger of Lefora. Mugger is muggering. Hi, Miss Green. So,
Hi, Miss Jean.
I just want to share what she said. So, in order for you to be flexible and you can choose whatever state, it's better for you to ask or take the Philippine license for a local board, PLNE. So you don't have you have no limitation. You can go wherever you are. But if you do not ask, then it's okay. Don't do so. You can still take the test, but it's better if you ask. How about you, Nurse Marvin? Is California compact?
No, it's not. It's not compact, unfortunately. So there are talks regarding that one, but California wants it to stay exclusive as it is. So
Just like New
um,
York, they
yeah,
want to share.
exclusive. So they tried before during COVID that they allow some other states to get
Mhm.
get a temporary license, but their license is only good for about less than a year. Then after that, they have to file for California license as permanent one if they wanted to stay in California. So I remember before, I think it was 2020. There are some nurses from Michigan who actually like traveled to some of the Northern California hospitals just to um, was this work there for temporarily and with their license, and then after that they received letters from the board telling them that, oh, you have to apply for um, the original license, not the temporary one. So again, California is still not a compact state. Hopefully by political will of the nurses, by numbers, we can actually change the game to have it compact. Hopefully, but unlikely.
I think everyone will transfer to California
Yeah,
for Marv if
I
that
might,
happens.
I might.
I absolutely. I will always say, be careful what you wish for.
There.
I
Although
know.
compact, being independent has pros and cons.
True.
For
Sure.
me, as an experienced traveling nurse, and who knows more on the economics of the business,
Mhm.
being compact will actually affect everybody's salary, especially for people who are on high paying states,
True.
because it's controlled. Economics plays
Exactly.
in there,
Yep.
that you have low supply, then the demand is higher.
Mhm.
Plus California has actually a ratio,
Yes,
Yes.
we have ratio.
strong ratio, that will
Yes,
affect
it's a mandate.
the supply of nursing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How about you, there's one? Is Kentucky a compact license already?
Yes, I think yes, it is part of the compact license, which made it easy for me as well to like work here. Um, yeah, what else? Yeah, I know, but it's not as easy as New York. I think it's easier to get licensed in New York versus in Kentucky. So, like
Mm.
my wife took her exam in New York and had things transferred to Kentucky. But if she's already here, if she didn't want to endorse it here in Kentucky, she could have worked in New York without taking the IELTS. So that's one good thing
Oh.
also. Yeah.
Because I believe there are other states that require to take you an English class, and in Chicago, I
Yeah.
believe that they still require a nurse to take a CGFNS examination. So remember,
Mm.
nurses, there are 50+ states in the U.S., and even if it's
Yeah.
called the United States of America, we are not united in terms of licensing requirements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every state have their own requirements, documents to be submitted. You're gonna apply for eligibility. You're gonna check their board of nursing, and there's so many requirements. Some require English test, some don't require to take the NCLEX. But later on, you're gonna take the English test. Okay, just
Yeah.
FYI,
Yeah.
because everyone is confused, especially the newly asked nurses in the Philippines. I'm telling you, we're so into coming here in the US. Last night, I received tons of messages. Ma'am, how to go to the
Yeah.
US? I said, what's DNTL lock? So, moving
Yeah.
over there straight for our next question. A lot of people are asking about this. And she's coughing. You
Yeah,
okay?
I'm coughing still. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm still alive.
Question number two. A lot of people are asking, how much is that dog? Cost of living. Like, what is the cost living in your current state, including the housing, transportation, and other essentials? So let's go with nurse one first in Kentucky.
Oh, okay. For the housing, it really depends if where you're gonna be assigned. Like here in the city area, like Louisville, I think the nurses coming here they're paying like 1,200 to 1,600 for their apartments, depending on their location. But you can get as cheap as like maybe like 600 to 800, depending which part of Louisville you wanna have your house, like choose your house. Um, but if you're trying to find a place outside of Louisville, like in other like more rural parts of Kentucky, it ranges from like 300 to um 1,000, depending on your preference or the type of accommodation that you want. Like for condominiums, of course, they're more expensive. Usually houses are like cheaper here, especially the trailer type of houses. I think the first one we stayed here was like a $325 per month, so it was really cheap. What else? Transportation. Normally for Kentucky, I would always suggest try to get your own car or private car, one way or the other, brand new, secondhand, or just buy those things in Facebook Market. You really do need transportation here, because in most states, like in other states, it's not common to have like public transportations. Only major cities or really like big cities have like a public transportation. Louisville has one, Lexington has one, and I think the other parts of Kentucky we don't have any public transportation. So car is an essential thing. So, but also it is really nice to have your own car. Electricity and water, those kind of things. It depends which state you are. For me, here in Louisville, it was cheaper versus in my first county in Eastern Kentucky. So electricity and gas is around 200. Water is around like 100, something there. Then Wi-Fi is like $60. Telephone bill is like $60 as well. And the internet, what else do we pay? Food. Food not as
Groceries.
the what? Um,
Grocery. Like, yeah.
yeah. Food is I think it's not as expensive as well. Grocery per week.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm single, I think I can go buy less than $100 per week. Then yeah, I think those will be like major things for expenses.
Wow. I want to move there.
Uh, it is cheaper here, Miss Anna, but it is also starting to get more expensive. Comparing
Mm.
from the first year that I was here, I think our grocery was cheaper. The only thing for me, we're trying to spoil ourselves at the moment. So we buy a lot of things. We try to spoil like in our house. We buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So typically for me and my wife, we're like in 200, 300 per week for um our budget for expenses, and some of them are non-essentials. So
But
that's
it
one
makes
thing.
you happy, right? You work hard for
Yeah.
it. How about taxes? Do you pay a state tax? And of course, we know that we all pay federal. Do you have a state tax
Yeah, I
also?
think we do. I'm not really sure what's the percentage. Honestly, I try just to ignore them. So just look at the equal base. That's it. But I do have to do things like what Miss K and you guys are talking about, like to try to maximize your income by applying
Tax
for
deduction.
what they call these things, for a 1K or for O3B
Requirement.
and
Mm-hmm.
retirement, and putting
And IU
in
and
stuff.
IULs.
All right.
You know, that's X,
Oops.
right? The
Oops.
IUL.
No, no, I'm not
No.
promoting anything. Not promoting.
Mhm. So yeah, so I think someone posted about it recently. So read the fine print. So that was a nice thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Just put it at the last. Don't
Yeah.
put it as priority. As priority.
Uh-uh.
Never, never. All right.
How about
Sorry.
California for Marvin? Oh my God, I heard a lot of high amounts of housing in California.
California. Wow. I'd be coughing like that. California.
Oh,
Oh my God.
remind me.
California
Oh,
housing.
okay. Look. Yes. Okay. So should I say more? Okay. So actually, California, based on the 2023 report from CNBC, California ranked second as the most expensive state to live in 2023. We're just second from the state of Hawaii, and what comes third was, I think, was Oregon. Now, to be honest, it's expensive in the Bay Area, particularly because we are the 76% higher than the national average. Now, let's talk about first the housing. So if you want to buy a house in the Bay Area, prepare for like seven-digit figures, like millions. We're talking about millions. And there will in some areas of San Jose there might be like 900, but you're after with the quality of the house, when was it built and all that. So the $900 or the $1 million, if you're going to buy it in other state, it must be a castle or a bungalow. It's like a nice palace. So housing is very expensive in the Bay Area, like for renting itself. So when I used to live in Texas, my two-bedroom apartment, I was sharing it with a coworker. So we were only paying a total of like 450 per month during that time. It was from 2015 to 2017. So that was, and it was a suburb place in Texas. So plus that's already included with utilities. But here in the Bay Area, for a studio house, for a studio apartment rather, for a studio apartment, it costs about upwards of 2,000 already, 2,500. And it depends on the area and depends on the zip code also. Now, aside from that, talking about utilities and fuel, so California has one of the most expensive per gallon. Sometimes it can reach about $4 to $6 depending on the area of California. So unlike Texas, where the average is like 2 point something, California gas actually is very expensive. And then food, we're 30% higher than the national average. The healthcare also, and the transportation. Here's the thing about transportation. We have in particular in the Bay Area, some of the areas are accessible to like public transport that includes the Caltrain and also the BART, um, and also buses. But sometimes because of the traffic, it eats most of your time going or commuting to and from work. So, aside from that, the goods and services are 20% higher than the other states. So that's why, even though it's expensive, you have to do smart things. Like for example, what I usually do is, um, I get some like the coupon thing. So if the groceries are like on sale, then I have to buy that in bulk. Thanks to Costco and thanks to Sam's Club. And then aside from that, our facility is giving us incentives, especially if you don't bring your car the to work. So that's why I use the call train instead, because we're free. So I just like hop into the train and then hop off, and then there's like free buses going to work. So it saves me a lot of money. Like I'm not worried about the parking, because like the parking itself for most of the hospitals here in California have to pay for it. Some of them are free, but rarely. So those are the measures that I have to work smart in order for me to save money. And also please acknowledge also that you might have some financial responsibilities. I mean, make sure that you're responsible enough for your finances, and then try to work smart. Know the perks, especially the employee benefits that will save you tons of money, even though you are working in a place that has high cost of living. But if you're able to put some smart measures on how to save money, you can definitely save and get more money out of your what's this paying job. That's for me here in California.
Okay. Sir Marv, question.
Yes.
How much do you pay for the parking and your gas? Like, estimate.
So
Maybe
gas.
here's the one part.
So usually, full tank is like $70 to $80.
70 to 80. Wow.
I'm gonna walk.
Yeah, $70 to $80, and
Okay.
then what was the first one again? The parking. So it depends.
Parking
So the parking is like $8 per day, and
per day.
then
Okay.
yeah, $8 per day, and sometimes there's like a bundle, so you have to like pay like $30 per $30. I mean, for forty
Per month.
dollars a month.
Uh,
So for usage, yeah.
okay. Because I went to the Bay Area like few months ago. I was surprised with the expenses for the like when we're eating out. The
Yeah.
price there is just actually just similar to Kentucky.
Mhm.
It's almost the same price that we pay. We
I
pay like
can't
80
hear
to
you, Nurse
$100.
One. Can you hear him? I can't hear him.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
I
okay,
Can you
can
hear
okay.
me?
hear him.
Great me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nurse Paul, Nurse One, are you still there?
He's there. I can hear you, Marvin. I can hear
Yeah,
Ed.
yeah, but I mean, there's one is
Yeah, yeah,
like frozen.
yeah.
Okay,
He's.
so
I
to
think he's
answer some,
frozen.
yeah, to
Yeah.
answer some of his questions. So most of the food here, I mean, like there's a ton of restaurants here. To be honest with you, I've never seen a lot of cuisines, international cuisines, compared not compared to New York, of course. So when I used to be in Texas, there's only limited options, but here there's a lot, and then there's a lot of like good hole in the wall like restaurants that you can actually like eat there for a very good experience. Now, yes, most of them are similar price to almost anywhere, but again, it really depends on the district or the county. Sometimes they impose some tax to add it. Like for example, one of the most expensive area is Palo Alto. The sales tax is 9% compared to the average, which is 7.25. So if you're going to buy a Louis Vuitton in Palo Alto area, so expect that it will cost more compared if you're going to buy it downtown because of the differences of the tax. So usually per state, the district can impose or the local junctions can add district taxes that can increase the tax. And yeah, there are some. That's why there's differences between the payment. I mean the services and the prices per county. Yeah.
How
Where
about
is
you, Nurse
Quick.
Kaye in Maryland?
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
one.
No, I have
Cost of
a follow.
living.
Yeah, follow up question real quick for Marvin. Marvin,
Yeah.
what car
Uh-huh.
do you have? For $80 to $90 per full tank, what kind of car do you have?
So
It's
it
in
was
a big SUV, a mid-size, or a sedan?
so um so the one that I drove was like a sedan that was old. It was old. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was old. But I usually like
Mm,
gas only like once or twice a month. Because like most of the time
mm,
I just like drive the train because like if it's easy for me because like I don't have to park, and then the safety of my car. Because like to be honest with you, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Some of um some of the Bay areas, I mean area, if you're going to park it like outside, the chances for you to have a break in is higher because like especially among tourists, especially among the touristy places. So that's the reason why most of the time, I just use the perks of the hospital, which is like free. What's this free? Trained, but during the COVID times, it was difficult because like I cannot. I mean,
Mhm.
even though I wanted to use the public transport, but like the chances of you getting COVID, so
yeah.
it was not.
I see.
Yeah, I hear you. Nurse One, you're back. Nurse
Sorry.
One is back.
I don't know what's wrong with my
You're,
internet connection. I was
no
saying,
worries.
uh,
It's interesting that that Marvin was mentioning $80 to $90
mhm,
Okay.
per full fill up, you know.
mhm.
And I'm charging the electric car, and right now it says they're $15.
I know, I know. I mean, I was jealous with some of my friends who are actually like changing to Tesla and other like electric cars because
Yeah,
like they are priority
yeah.
parking in our parking
Yes.
structure. Like they have like wow, the
Yeah.
first few rows of the first floor is all
Uh,
electric cars, and then they
Wow.
plug it,
yes. Yeah.
and then after they said, oh, I only have $15 for the entire charging. I said, what the? Compared to the gas that I said like, oh, it's like $6 when we went to Santa Cruz, so $6 per gallon. Say for example, if you have an 8 gallon cylinder, so like multiply it. So yeah, that's how much it costs to like roam around here in the Bay Area. But yeah, I'm so jealous about the electric cars, which can actually save you
Yeah.
more and more money. And also, there's like a
Yeah.
tax deduction, a deductible
Yeah.
if you are having
Yeah.
what's this, an electric car. I think five thousand
Yeah.
dollars. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really an advantage for you guys.
But
Yeah, there's a $10,000 tax credit,
Yeah,
federal level, and there was a $4,000 state tax credit.
yeah,
So that's a total of $14,000. So there's a
exactly.
lot of people will see, like how we look at states, we think that it's expensive, but if you look at
Wow,
the fine prints of
fine
per
print. Yeah,
state, you might be able to actually take advantage.
exactly. Mhm.
Especially for people who loves driving. When I was visiting California, I really didn't feel much the difference because I was coming from New York in
Yeah,
Manhattan. So Manhattan, a $900 rent a month, that's only a bed spacer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a bed spacer, 900 a month. And then when I went to Connecticut that time around 2012, the rent for two-bedroom apartment in a luxury apartment already, gated community, it was only 1100. So it was 200 more, but then I get the whole 2-bedroom apartment. Right? Then I went to Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a little bit more expensive that time. So I was paying for, again, the luxury. When I say luxury, this is your probably top of the limit price, okay?
Uh-huh.
1700, it's closer to Boston. When you're talking
Oh,
about metro, closer to Boston, 1700 back then, all right? In 2012, 2014. But now you won't get that.
mhm.
So if you go to like metropolis, high city places, especially Northeast Coast, touristic area, expect to spend a lot of money. Touristic places like New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., those are the top three tourist destinations in Northeast Coast. When you go around those areas, expect a lot of money to be shelled out. One thing that you also have to remember, the timing that you're going to come to the United States. If you are going to the United States and you are landing on a summer here is around June, July, August. If you are arriving those times, please be aware that moving season on the United States is around June, July, August. It means everybody's moving out, everybody's moving in. So there is a huge demand for housing during those time period. What I recommend before you guys come to the United States around that time, if you know you're coming around June, July, August, please look for housing already as early as March and April and reserve your spot. Because when you get to those high demand times, the price of the rent actually increases more. Or the price of the that location, let's say in Jersey Shore, where I used to live too, not a lot of people thought that, that throughout the year is the same thing. So people were posting 2,500 for a two bedroom house or apartment. But then I said, no, which month are you looking at? If you are looking at June, July, August, you're talking about 2,500 a week, right? Because those are tourist hotspots. Majority of the housing there are actually for Airbnbs. So if you are going or moving to a new location where there's a lot of beach area, vacation spots, specific month like Colorado. I've never been to Colorado, but I have looked at the housing there. During winter, a lot of people go there because it's one of the best ski resort area in the US. Those are the seasons that you don't want to move in because the demand for housing is very high. So it's very expensive. Maryland, I would compare Maryland and Massachusetts almost the same cost of living. But as soon as I get closer, again, as soon as you get closer to the metropolitan area, the city, the downtown, expect the rent to be higher. Okay, when I say expect the rent to be higher, in Manhattan, a two-bedroom apartment can cost you already 3,500. But if I go south, Manhattan is the New York City, New York, New York. But if I go south, like 20 minutes south of Manhattan, I can be in Staten Island. That can be 3,000. If I go 1 hour south, that can be 2,500. If I go 3 hours south of Manhattan or just far away in the middle of nowhere, maybe I can be paying 2,000 a month rent. Again, the farther away you are from the metropolitan area or the tourist area, it's cheaper. So the best way to navigate cost of living for housing is go to um, zip code, find the zip code of your new address, and then type it in Zillow, apartment.com, go to those websites and check for the rent. But you have to type there the zip code, not the state, not the city, but the actual zip code. The actual zip code will bring you closer to the price of the money that you will have to pay. If you go by state, it's going to be hard because like California, it's very big, and North California and South California is definitely different price. New York is the same thing. It's like Texas, Houston, Dallas, um, are two different cities, metropolitan areas, so they will have different price. Austin is different. When New York is different. Upstate New York, Albany is different. How about Syracuse, New York is different. When I go to Rochester, New York, it's different. So again, each city, each county, and each definitely the zip codes will give you the best price for that. As for the car, the gas here in Northeast Coast is not as expensive as California. Ours is cheaper. I'm looking at the gas station right now. Let me look for the price right now. I cannot
Here
see
in
it.
New York, we're paying $40 for full tank.
I
Already,
remember, yeah, I remember having an Elantra sedan, the Hyundai Elantra in 2012. I was filling it up for $40 as far as I remember. If right now it's still $40 for those
yeah.
small compact cars. The SUV, Hyundai Santa Fe, I fill it up for around $60 because it's bigger. So again, the bigger car that you have, expect to pay more gas and more
Mhm.
insurance cost. Okay, so when you buy a car, there is a thing called trailing expense. Trailing expense is what you're paying for the maintenance of the car, the gas, the insurance. So if you're in the high cost of living, expect those prices higher as well. Okay, so a lot of people will tell me, hey, you can upgrade your car to this car, why don't you upgrade your Santa Fe to nice Lexus? But I said, why would I need it? I'm a person of need versus want. If this is my money and my priorities are just my need, then I'll be fine with simple car. But if you're a person who prioritizes your wants and you have extra money for it, and then why go ahead. But please expect cost of living, not only for housing but all over. Your cost of insurance, not only car insurance but health insurance, life insurances, they all change. If you get a quote from California for a life insurance and you're going to go to Kentucky for a quote for life insurance, Kentucky probably will give you the cheaper price versus a person in
Mhm.
California, because hospitalization is more expensive in California and New York, in Boston, than being hospitalized in Kentucky. So
Mhm.
again, all of these factors play around when you pick around a state. The cost of living really plays a big important part, but the salary goes up as well. you know um I'll give you an example. I went to Hawaii for a vacation and I'm from Manhattan. I said, I found Hawaii very expensive. Like Marvin said, Hawaii is the number one. Yes. The way I would interpret it is, if I'm a nurse, I might need 3 jobs to sustain a house just to buy a property in Hawaii. But if I'm in California or New York City, I might need at least 2 jobs as a nurse. But if I go to, let's say, other states like Idaho, Kentucky, Arkansas, maybe 1 job might be enough as a nurse. So those are the things how I will gauge it, how many jobs you need to do. And if you have 1 job and that state is a high cost of living, then you might need to do side jobs. If you're a person who does not like to do extra jobs on the side and you just want to prioritize your family, maybe going to states that will suffice enough income for your family and extra savings, those are the things that you will have to consider. Maybe those states will be beneficial to you if you're not the person who loves business. When you go to metropolitan area like New York, busy people, a lot of events, it's very advantageous for people who has businesses and events, or any business, because of the population. You're taking advantage of the population of the area. So there's opportunity for you to grow as a business.
Okay,
And
let
it
me
can
ask
help
about
suffice the cost of living.
okay, let me ask about New York, since I'm from New York. So we arrived here in 2018. We have no car. Just a reminder, for New York, remember Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Long Island, what else? Bronx. So we're in a downstate. Because a lot of people, when you say New York, it's always Manhattan or it's always Times Square. But no, like Kaye mentioned, those cities are expensive, everything's expensive, even the parking. So where I live right now, I'm in a upstate in Hudson Valley. It's colder. I'm near to Albany. I'm near to Rochester, like 1 hour to 2 hours. The rent here are cheaper and the house are cheaper. Like we recently bought a house. We only 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. We have a garage and a backyard, and it only costs 350,000. Which you can never find when you go to the city of New York. Like Kay said, bed spacer costs $900. So in terms of transportation, we only got our car 4 years ago because we have a lot of bus here. We have Uber, Lyft, we have local taxi, we have subway, we have major train. Like I'm here in Hudson Valley, I travel an hour, I go to the city and I work as a traveler nurse. And it worked well with us. But when we have a car, like Nurse One said, it's better. You have more flexibility. But when you have a car, my husband brought me out in train station and I go subway and major train like Metro North. In terms of gas, like I said, we're only paying full tank, 40 to $40. And health insurance, since we're a traveler, we have our private insurance, so it costs a lot. With utilities, cell phone, a little expensive. Like as a family, we have three cell phones. We have iPad. We pay 100, and utility we pay only 100 also. So it really depends where you are exactly in New York. Because people will send me message, ma'am, how much it cost? So when you're in downstate like Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, they're expensive. When you're in upstate, in Albany, Hudson Valley, Syracuse, Rochester, we're like the province of New York, but there are other more farther provinces in New York. So if you want to save more money, go upstate, but you need a car. If you want to have more flexibility, like see a lot of Broadway plays, be in the city, but you're gonna pay more, and the parking is all expensive too. So that's my take in New York.
Mhm.
Any more suggestions?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the daycare center or babysitter.
Definitely.
The for the parents who have kids, I pay $18 to $20 per hour, and if you have more kids, you have more discount for it.
Yeah.
So you
And
Yeah,
know what I mean?
childcare. Good thing you mentioned, Anna, because I was using babysitters before,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I when I was in Connecticut, I would use the kinder care. Not again, not promoting any company here,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just sharing my experience. So kinder care actually was charging me 160 back then per
wow.
week. Okay, for one
Yeah.
child. All right, because I didn't have it. I was in the location in Connecticut that is not in the metro. It's actually in the valley. It's called Beacon Falls. It's about 25 minutes away from Yale University, Yale Hospital. So it was in the middle of nowhere, but I'm only 25 minutes away, back road, okay, back road. 25 minutes away, and that's around 6 miles, I believe, from Yale. But because it's a back road, then of course it's slower. I was paying $160 per week, but now probably after 10 years, you will see about 200 per week cost of living
Mm-hmm.
to have one child babysit, one child babysitting it's job
How
there.
many
So
hours is that, Kay?
so that you can drop off the
Depends.
kid from
Mm-hmm.
I was dropping off my child from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. So they're
Mm-hmm.
actually
The whole
6:30
day.
a.m. Yeah, 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. I was dropping my son, and I was paying like that, almost $200 a week. And if I was a regular nurse, I cannot afford that as a
Yeah.
single mom.
Mm-hmm.
So the tricky part here, if you are a single parent, or you're a single earner household, or you are a family with many kids, I recommend you really, really sitting down and doing research. You have
Mm-hmm.
no room for errors for your expenses because it's gonna get very expensive. But if you're single or you're dual income family, I'm not saying do not research, but I think you have more flexibility on losing some money,
Exactly.
or spending a little bit more. But for people who are a single parent, please do your research. This is why I always um do my service, my professional service consultancy to single parents, or single earner family with, or you know or a household that has like people with disability, because they're very limited with resources that they need. So it's very important to research all those information. When you're a single earner nurse coming to the United States with many dependents, please research hard, because the cost of living can actually bring you so much down and so much debt. I know a lot of people who've come to me, who are in serious debt after being in the United States for 1 year. Say, okay, I have $60,000 debt. You don't want to be in that situation because it's gonna burn you out. So I
Mm-hmm.
recommend really researching those things. I'm reading on the comments right now. Yes, Miss Jean, come to Maryland, buy Tesla, right? For $4,000 state tax credit. Um, yeah, so I'm not a big fan of electric cars before, but thinking that it's very expensive, but at the end for me it actually was worth it and cheaper. So there are a lot of things that you can research for cost of living on that.
But do you think this will be an option for newcomers to the US for an electric car?
Tesla? I don't
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
let me
so.
call. I'm making an appointment with Mr. Elon Musk to give international
Discount.
international promo to beat Mazda international program, right?
Mhm.
I'll say, why don't you just give everybody, because actually I'm not really only into promoting that, because some features of this car, the Tesla, is really good for new drivers. There are a
Mhm.
lot of
I
safety.
see.
I bought it for the not really saving on gas, but the safety feature of it, because it's considered one of the safest car in the US. And I am from New York, and New York City. I have a very bad habit in driving. I get a lot of
Oh
tickets.
yeah.
So the tickets. Oh, speaking of tickets, yes, the tickets in I will get a 15-minute over parking penalty for New York City for $115 ticket.
Yes.
But if I'm in Massachusetts in the middle of nowhere, that will be only $30. So that thing you have to consider. Speeding tickets or highway violation is more expensive in those high paying states.
I think Kaye spoke from her experience.
And my experience, tickets, penalties, all those speeding tickets, parking tickets violation, and and again, the deductibles for your insurances can
Mm-hmm.
be I mean, your premium for your car insurance can be more expensive.
Okay, while staying on mommy grouping, here's my last question for today. How is the job market for nurses in terms of demand and opportunities, and also for the non-healthcare opportunity? As you know, sometimes couples come in and the other couple or spouse is not in healthcare, or how are the job demands in there? How about you for nurse one?
Is that job opportunities for dependents?
Yeah, or both, or healthcare workers and or non-healthcare.
Okay. Honestly, if I would suggest for nurses with dependents like who can work, I would suggest try to find a state that he or she has a job opportunity. Then you just adjust wherever it is, because for nurses you can find work anywhere in the US. That's
Yeah.
always like a plus for us nurses. But for our dependents, it depends on state and like opportunities. Like for most of the guys here in Kentucky, some of them can't work. They're like specific professions. They require like certifications, more educational
Mm-hmm.
backgrounds, and all those things. So some of them would just like find other like blue collared work kind of jobs or other professions. And I think some of them are also like, especially for with children, they prefer to be just like stay home dad and do other like as needed work, like flexi works. I mean, like deliveries, Grab, uh, Lyft, and sometimes like a part time
Uber.
jobs in different
Mm-hmm.
places. So kind of works for them. So those can be like options for you guys. um it is hard to find work for dependents, especially if you're working in more rural areas. So that's one thing to take note. I had that experience with my wife. My wife couldn't find a work for almost a year trying to find like online jobs before. This was before COVID, so online thing was not as big as it is now. So it took us a year. Then she decided just to take the NCLEX, and when she passed, then she just worked as a nurse here in the US. So that's one of the struggles that we experience for finding a work for a dependent. So if ever you're gonna be in a situation wherein you don't have like the kind of job that you want, don't worry. It's kind of normal here in the US to just get whatever works, like whatever gets food in the table. So don't be
Yeah.
shy. Don't yeah, that's the basic thing. So some of my colleagues here before like work in like Walmart or those kind of things, just a start. Then after which, after just getting more stable, getting more funds, getting more intel, then they were able to move to a different place wherein it's more related to their course. So I'm hoping you guys would find like things easier. So deciding on the specific state that works for your dependents, I think that's one of the best advice I can give you guys.
Exactly. I just want to say hi for Mr. Ferdinand Glavo Flores and for Miss Sheila and again for Miss Jean Olivar. Okay, I just want to share a quick share here from, in New York. As healthcare workers, me and my husband were both nurses. I'm an OR, he's an ICU med surg. Work are available. Clinic, hospital, ambulatory, you won't have a problem if you're a nurse. If your spouse is not in a healthcare worker, no problem too. We have TJ Maxx, we have Marshalls, we have Dunkin' Donuts, we have
Mhm.
McDonald's. You know how much we're getting paid? Flipping the burgers, right? $20 per hour. Or babysitting. I have a neighbor, they're an immigrant also, the mother, the baby shop for 2 to 3 hours and you're getting paid every hour. And I have a neighbor also that learn how to do gardening, mow the lawn, or doing snow plowing. So you have a lot of jobs here. If your spouse is not a healthcare worker, like my carpenter earns $200 per hour. Can you believe that? I should be a
Mhm.
carpenter.
Yes.
Well, yes, especially that we built a new house. Like we're calling these people, contacting them. They're getting paid per hour for their services. So don't worry if you're considering New York and if your spouse is like a healthcare worker, you just have to find what will help you get by and support your spouse. But like what Nurse One said, you need to be certified. If you're an electrician in the Philippines and you want to work in the US, you need to be certified because everything here is regulated and you need to also have an insurance for that. How about you for Marvin, California? How's the job market in there for the
So
healthcare and non-healthcare workers?
So there's a lot of career opportunities, especially for healthcare workers here in California. So there's a bunch of hospitals like Kaiser, Sutter, Stanford,
Mhm.
UCSF, and all the UC hospitals. We have a lot, and even those pop-up clinics and dialysis centers. So for nurses, we have a lot. It can be all there. There are also online jobs for you. Now,
Mhm.
I'm relating this experience when we came in here first time in the U.S. So there are a lot of I was once. Worked in a rural town of Texas, and then I was with a group of Filipinos who brought their families or their spouses with them. So again, this is what I learned from them. If you are if you're resilient, if you're patient, and if you're madiskarte, and if you're not mapili or maarte, you can go miles. Now, it
Mhm.
is very important to make sure that you have to support your spouse because, like, remember, um, I mean, if your wife is a nurse, you just don't depend on your wife to earn a living. You have to support each other, help each other. So that's why I remember when I was with this group of Filipino families, I remember one husband. He in the Philippines he was a supervisor for like Bureau of Fire. So, and then when he came in here, of course, you cannot use your credentials right away, but you have your skills. So he started as like housekeeping and then went to CNA. And then after that, he was able to find a job in jail. And then right now he's a, was this supervisor there. So it, it actually the career progression for those who are smart and madiscarte and for those who work hard really pays off here. So again, there's also try to test new grounds here. I mean, if you are someone in the office and if you want to try the blue collar jobs here, it's fine because, like again, here in the U.S., it's an equal opportunity for those who really wanted to work and to one and for sure you will be granted with some of the benefits, especially if you work hard. And aside from that, another family that I had with is that they're doing online jobs. So at first, I remember when this spouse was actually like he applied for USPS, and then he was like doing a lot of
Mail
sort
deliveries.
yeah mails
Mhm.
and deliver mails every
Mhm.
saying hi to him, especially on a Monday, because like he delivers the mails every Monday morning to our apartment. And then so eventually he switched jobs into online while facilitating it. So if you have the skills, the talent, and you're
Mhm.
resilient, there's a lot of opportunities for you and for your spouse here. So try to help each other. And again, um, for the great rewards are for those who work hard, hindi maarte, madiskarte, at hindi mapili. And that's
E-
for me in California.
Mhm.
Exactly. When you're in the US, pride and ego has doesn't work here. You could
Yes.
not bring that, right? Like, hey, I'm a
Mhm.
supervisor. Hey, I'm a manager here in the Philippines, and you want me to work what? No. When you come here, you support your spouse and that you support your family. You support one another. It could be completely of what to do more. Because when you come in the US, me and my husband, he don't have Netflix yet. So I was the one working as a nurse. So he worked in a price shop or a shop, right? I forgot in Delhi. And he was earning $11 per hour. And we have no car before. So he needs to travel an hour. So I felt bad for him. I said, you know what? Stop working and just review for your Netflix. But he said, I want to support you. I want to help you because bills are piling up and you're supporting your family back home. But I love so when you come here, support one another, take whatever job that will help your family financially and back home too, because we have parents, old parents or relatives that we want to help. And one more thing, if you love cooking, you can cook for, right, Marvin, and learn one and take a look in
Yes.
food,
Yes.
call
Yes.
your house workmates, here's
Yep.
the menu,
Yep.
what do you
Yeah.
want? Deliver.
Yeah.
It's a
There's a
hit.
lot of that one
Oh.
here in California, especially like on night shift people, where 80% of the crew is like Filipinos. So there's one
Yeah.
person who's like, hey, this is my menu for tonight. So I'll be bringing
Mm-hmm.
chicharon. I'll be bringing lumpia. So like,
Yes.
oh, and then not only the
Yeah.
Filipinos who like it, as soon as
Mhm.
the Americans they smell the
The
lumpia, oh my God, they will
Mm-hmm.
be the first people who are going to
yeah.
buy it from her.
Or later on, you have a oog
Yeah.
crop, right? So there's a
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
of ways to earn. Not just, oh my God, Miss Anna, my husband is not a nurse. He doesn't want to come here. I said, why? Because, there's no job available. No, there are available. You have to be flexible. Right,
Yeah.
Miss Kaye?
Yeah. So when we were looking actually to move around from different state to another state, the places that I've we looked into is actually North Carolina, South Carolina, Nebraska. We're supposed to move to Savannah, Georgia, actually. Also, what we considered was Orlando, Florida. We went there to be interviewed on jobs. So we lined up all those states and then look at the pros and cons of each of these topics that
Mm-hmm.
we actually discussed. Where's the cost of living? What are the jobs? The most important there is the jobs. So when we lined up all of those things and then we lined up all our priorities in our life for the next 10 years, we checked off what's best for us. Because you have to go to places, and but before you go to those places you have to know your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Without knowing your goals in life, when I'm talking about goal, not your goal is like I want to buy a Lamborghini, right? You're talking about your short term and your long term goals. Make sure that you pick those short term goals by moving around. Those are actually your short term goals. Because when you come to the United States, I'm pretty sure you're healthy, you're well, but later on, along many years, you're not going to be well. Your health will deteriorate. So we call this phase of life right now when you're working. It's called accumulation phase. Accumulation phase is when you try to accumulate your wealth or your savings, because down the road at one point you don't want to be working 80 hours or 40 hours anymore. You want to spend more time with your family. So when we were choosing those states that were to go, we highly considered what are the jobs available in life. I mean, in life, right? I'm reading something else. But what are the jobs available for me and my husband? What if this job does not work for my husband? Does he have alternative job around? What if this job doesn't work for me? Are there jobs surrounding me? So what we did was we got the map of the, like, let's say Maryland. We're in Maryland. We got the map of Maryland and we identify how many hospitals are there because we're working acute care hospitals. So we identified how many hospitals are hiring our jobs, our specialty, our profession. And by listing that, we were able to take note about 16 employers, potential employers. So if this one job doesn't work, the other one will work. But when you look for a job like that, you have to make sure you read your contract. But because if your contract will say, if you terminate this clause, you cannot work in any 6 miles or
Mhm.
25 miles. So there is a portion in your contract stating non-compete clause. So if your
Mhm.
contract has non-compete clause stating that you cannot work within 60 miles or within the state of that location after you end that job, it means that you will not find a job around, okay?
Mhm.
Because you cannot, it means you have to move out. So when you're looking for job opportunities, beyond, you have to look beyond the contract. Can I work around the area after I terminate this contract? Termination may be by cause or not cause. Maybe you finish 3 years, maybe you finish 2 years, or you finish after 1 year. It doesn't matter. What is important to know is, what if you finish that contract or terminate that contract? Can you work around? So for me, I had a lot of jobs, primarily because I'm a nurse. You can quit your job anytime and you will find a job as a nurse. Don't worry about it. Okay. Um, but for your spouse who may be non healthcare, this is very tricky because in some area, rural area, there might not be enough job that your husband got used to in the Philippines. Okay, so you will have to consider jobs for that. One way that I help one nurse strategize her husband's job before, because the husband was an engineer from the Philippines, electrical engineer from the Philippines. Well, arriving here, he does not have a job as an electrician because he's not licensed, he's not registered. But what I did recommend for him is try to apply to those electrical companies, electrician companies. Be a side job there, and then while working with them, you gain experience, and then at the same time you study for your certification or licensure. And we were able to help because I said to them, if you're not a nurse, you're gonna be earning a lot more than a nurse. You have your potential, your
Exactly.
opportunity is endless. So don't worry about it. If your husband is not a nurse, don't worry. Your husband's potential is sky is the limit, only if he works on it. So
Mhm.
I told them there are a lot of industries outside healthcare. Go to finance. If you are in business of selling, then maybe there's a lot of financial institution who will get you um, as a financial representative, salesman. There's a lot of products that needs salesmen, talented salesmen. Um, or start a business if you're very good in selling or creating something that is very highly marketable or highly sellable. There are a lot of opportunities. For non-nurse spouses that is inclined to entrepreneurship or business, there is a thing called SBA, Small Business Administration. So go to that website, SBA. You will have a lot of information um, about finding, how to start business in the United States, and they're free. When you are in a location that's high population, very dense, very busy, metropolitan like Manila, or like those highly populated location, events business, everybody celebrates birthday, there are catering companies who would take
Mhm.
you on the weekends. If a lot of events happen on weekend and your wife works Monday to Friday, your spouse can only work weekend. So there are a lot of events who will hire you as part-time in those kind of catering,
Mhm.
production businesses, events. So there's a lot of opportunity. And there's also like seasonal employees here in the
Yeah.
United States. During Christmas, a lot of these stores like Macy's, Target,
Yeah.
Walmart, because of high
Mhm.
volume of shoppers, they need extra people. There's a store called Christmas Tree Company, right? Christmas Tree Store. So they are high demand for those seasonal. You can work as much as you want
Yeah.
most times. Okay, there's a lot of
Yeah.
jobs.
Sky is the limit unless you're very pushy, right? Okay. If you're
Yeah.
single, it will be easier, but if you have spouse or you have kids, you have to consider that. Friends, may
Mm-hmm.
I ask about the weather? Another consider in choosing a state is, do you want a state with four weather, summer, fall, winter, spring, or do you prefer it to be always summer? So those are definitely, and the school district. Don't forget to also consider that if you have kids. I know Marvin will have two yet, and sooner another one will have one. So, do you have any idea in your present state about school district? Like in New York, well, of course, it's a hit or miss here. That's why I sent my daughter in a private school.
Mhm.
So here in California, particularly in San Francisco, if you, I mean, we experience all the climate or the weather conditions here.
Mhm.
If you want something, if you want winter, if you want to snow, just drive 4 hours north, and you have Tahoe, and then
Mm.
you can actually like go some skiing over there and do some winter activities. So if you want like like summer Manila vibe and all that, just go to LA or just go to San Diego. It's a little bit
Mhm.
warmer. So if you want like the chills of Baguio City, and then like yeah, just be here in San Francisco. It's cold. And then if you want to feel the autumn vibes, just drive along the Highway 1, and you will see like a lot of trees there were changing colors. So those are one of the factors that I consider. Before I used to work in Texas, there's only two things, like it's either warm or too cold.
Mhm.
Everything is bigger in Texas. But at some point, because I was working in northern Texas, I for the first time they had some snow. I mean, they have some sleet and snow every other year, and it's actually a disaster because like the roads in Texas are not suited for ice.
Yeah.
So there was a point that we were taken from our apartments by the big people of the hospital, so we can work and we can stay in the hospital. And then compared to other places, like they use salt. Just to make sure that the roads are passable or workable. So here in California, the reason why also, I mean, Northern California, the reason why I stay there is all because of the weather. It's always cool. There's pros and cons. And some in summer, although it's cool, but there we are risk for bushfires. So
Mhm.
so those are the things that one of the most important thing that you need to consider in finding your state is the weather and also yourself. What do you really want in the environment? Do you want like a cool breeze all the time? Do you want the feeling of like Manila or Baguio? Or do you want the feeling of cold, like you want to go ski, or if you want like always sunny? Yeah. So I consider San Francisco to be close to perfect in terms of weather, but again, there's pros and cons about it.
Sir Marbs, tornado, anything like that in
Oh,
California?
it, I mean, there are tornado warnings, but not compared
Yeah.
to when I was working
Okay.
in North Texas, because like we
Texas,
have
okay.
yeah, tornado warnings because we are in the
Yeah.
tornado belt. So
Um,
I think I remember in 2017, then when a big F5 tornado hit a county there, and I was the trauma nurse, so we are on heightened alert. But I just want to take that opportunity because like I learned a lot from the community, and that if there are some like big disaster thing, the community people will really help. And I saw it on my very eyes, like the people will go to the hospital no matter what are their professions, just to help the people. If you see the movie like Twister, like there's a lot of
Mhm.
disaster, it's like that. But the help support from the community was overflowing, and it made our work among healthcare workers really easy and efficient. So big kudos to them.
How about you, Nurse One? Do you have tornado in Kentucky?
oh yeah, we do, but not really the big ones. I think they had one time like a big tornado, and they were always saying that tornado won't happen in like mountain areas, but
Mhm.
it did on that part. One of the major tornadoes we
Mhm.
had was in the mountain area, so that's one misconception about it. And I think last year we had a really small one, just a few maybe like 15 to 30 minutes away, but it doesn't last long, maybe like just for 10 seconds. So that's where they were claiming. um Here in Kentucky, weather wise, we're same. We have like four weathers. The good thing here, we don't have that much snow, so that's one thing that I would say like an advantage. And like Sir Marv's, I also had an experience when I was staying in Eastern Kentucky, with the super big
Yeah.
snow. I think it's like once in every 5 years that we have the kind of snow. The police came to fetch us in our houses.
Mm.
Like the nurses are behind the police car, so that's the first time
But
for me
you're
to.
not arrested, right? So.
No, So all because of the snow. So and also the community, like what Sir Marv says, in rural areas or like county areas, people are really nice, helpful, and those kind of things. People will wave at you just for seeing you. So like that's kind of weird for me when I was new here in the US. Like, do they know me? So I'm not used to that. So that's one thing. Um, um, I think sunny. We do have some warm climates, and it does get warm sometimes, but not as bad as like in Florida or I think in Texas. Um, Sometimes we do feel like the Filipinas vibe, like the Manila warm, but not as much. I don't sweat as much here in Kentucky versus in Manila. So in Manila, I'd be like getting out of the shower after 15 minutes already sweating. So here,
Yeah.
no, I don't feel that here.
Yeah.
Snow, like I said, I think like for this month, we only have like uh what do you call this? Like just a flurry of snows. We don't have really like snows for this month. Snow will be coming in maybe two or twice in January as per
Mhm.
weather updates. So that's a kind of good thing here.
Yeah, to add up
Any
what
input, Miss Nurse A? Well, we have
Yeah.
both snow. We have both snow.
Yeah.
yeah. So going
Yeah.
back to this
Northeast.
this one,
Yeah.
he was saying about like sweating. So I
Mhm.
remember my mom used to pack a lot of panyo to me here in the US.
Under
And
you
then I said like, mom, I'm not
in
using
the
it.
fan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fan and
Oh
panyo.
Yeah.
yeah.
I still have the
And
panyo.
umbrella.
Yeah, and then
How
when
about the
I came back
lampin
to
you
the
put in your
Philippines,
back?
so
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
For sweat. The
Good
towel that you put in the
the
good
back.
towel,
morning
yeah, the
towel.
towel
Those
and
are
the powder too.
Good
But like,
morning.
yeah, but when you're here, you're gonna use it. And then when I go back to the Philippines, I said, "Shock! I forgot the
yeah.
panyo." It's like, yeah, you have to wear that panyo in the
Yeah.
Philippines, but not here.
And, and your
Yeah.
deodorant.
Yeah,
I- yeah, I was actually relating to nurse one's message, like you don't need to take a shower feeling like that right away. In the Philippines, it's very humid, like in Singapore,
Yeah.
right? It's very
Mm.
humid, so once you get out of the shower, feel like you need to take another shower because you're sweating. In the US, majority of the warm weather here is it's not as humid, it's drier.
Mhm.
It's not humid, but it's hot, but it's so there's a huge cases of skin cancer here in the United States. Actually, it's a lot of cases in the Philippines. Like I've never heard of skin cancer coming to the OR
Exactly.
for excision, but here in the US, oh my God, we'll have a lot of patients in the OR lined up for skin lesion
Yep.
excision
More.
for
Yeah.
biopsy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because because it's very hot here. The If you go on your phone, look at the temperature. There is a thing called heat index, so please always check that hit index in your phone for alerts to make sure that you are, when you come out and the hit index is very high, please cover yourself up with, your SPF, high SPF sunblock. It's very important here in the United States.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. Very important because it's dry heat. It's hotter. You don't feel it that it's hotter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Even on
Northeast Coast the same.
even on winters, okay, this is the only place wherein you have to wear moisturizer because on
Yes.
winter, like
Yeah,
especially if you're
yeah.
new, your skin gets to be like too tight, itchy.
You
So
got
I have to
windburn on your lip.
my lips, yeah, lip balm. So I'm not used to that back home in the Philippines or Singapore, but here I have to use that constantly. So kind of helps, especially for those coming here during the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
You need those kind of support in a way.
Yeah, because the heater is on as well here in the
Mm-hmm.
Northeast Coast during winter, so it will dry up. That's why a lot of our throats are dried and we become prone more to coughing,
Exactly.
and the virus. So Northeast Coast, we get the four seasons. Everybody saw it. Autumn in New York, probably, and serendipity. I went ice skating. That's why I got sick in
And
the
my
Central
white
Park.
Christmas,
Yeah, and White
Bryant
Christmas. So
Park.
yeah, so we got all that four seasons. Northeast Coast, when we say New England area, that's one of the best autumn or fall is for
Mm-hmm.
tourists. Even if around October go travel to New England, it's one of the best places to see the fall. You're talking about New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, Maine. Those are your New England area. Connecticut is the one next to New York City. So then coming down, you have New York, New Jersey, they still have fall as well. Pennsylvania, Delaware, you will still see that fall
Mhm.
season. In Maryland, we get snow as well in Maryland. Virginia, we get snow, but it's not as heavy as when you're talking about closer to the Canada border, to the higher area. The closer you are to the Canada, the more snow you will have.
Yeah,
Um,
like me, 5 hour drive away.
yeah, for us, like I would say Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and what do you call this one? Southern, more Georgia. I would say Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. You will still feel cold. There might be times that there will be snow. We will still get that season, but it's not as bad as the top, the northern part. So when you are in North Carolina, a lot of retirees are in there, South
Mhm.
Carolina, because the weather, you'll get the feel cold of the northeast coast, but you will get probably one snow or two snow, but that's it. When you're talking about snow here, you also have to consider about the inches.
Yeah,
So when we're talking about Rochester, New York, there was
like
one
my
time they
height.
had like 6 feet of snow. All right. So if you have a house, private house, forget about it. You're gonna dig yourself on that 6 feet of
Mhm.
snow. All right. But if you live in apartment complex, most of these management properties
They will like it.
have their own cleaning, right? So when we were living in apartment, we were so enjoying it because they were cleaning the snow, they were plowing it. And
Uh-huh.
then when we bought our house, I I have to shovel and plow
Hey,
the
don't
snow.
remind me that.
So there's our pros and cons of buying a house. I'm like, can we just go back to the apartment?
Yes.
Also, one thing is if you live in the metropolitan area, metropolis city, the city has a lot of money because you're paying city taxes. They have money to plow and clean those snow. They have money to make sure that nobody will slip on those ice. If you slip in New York City in front of the business establishment, that
Got
business
paid.
establishment will be sued. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's a thing here in the United States. Lawsuit is very high here, the amount of lawsuits. So what they try to prevent is make sure as soon as the snow falls, they start salting. So
Oh.
make sure that people will not slip. Um, on the hot season, there is a regulation in the United States when it's a regulation is a law that if the temperature drops below certain level or goes up high
Wow.
level and your AC broke down and you live in an apartment complex as a newcomer immigrant, that apartment complex has by law has to give you a living condition situation. If it's very hot, they have to fix that AC system within 24 hours, within an hour. All right. Some of those
Mhm.
states have those rules. So again, if you're a new immigrant in the United States, your AC broke down and it's very hot outside. I mean, it's very hot inside the house and outside. Please look at the state or city law on when this maintenance should come. Because if it's in our nursing, it's called stat. Okay, stat. They have to fix that stat. if it's if it's winter and that that heater broke
Heater.
down, the
Mhm.
heater broke down, that the maintenance the management has the responsibility by law to fix that heater. That not
Mhm.
PRN, not when they're available the next business days. No, when you're living in an apartment complex like majority of the nurse immigrants,
Mhm.
you please know these regulations because you don't want to be missing those and being taken advantage like oh you just go to the hotel because our AC
No.
broke
Yeah.
or our heater broke. No, don't fall for those things. Okay, it's the responsibility of the management to make sure that you're provided with safe living condition on those apartment complex.
Exactly. So we always ask
Yeah.
by the time it's almost
Yeah.
1 hour 40 minutes. I
Oh
would
my
like
god.
to ask a few more
Yeah.
advice from our guests, from Nurse One and Marvin,
Yeah.
especially that they came from a well asked question about their state. So
Mhm.
for Marvin, any advice for our future immigrant nurses, being a single or with couple or with friends or with family?
Sure. So this is my to wrap up everything of what we have said, because like we discussed a robust amount of information. So this is my advice to Filipino nurses who are coming here for the first time, single or with family or with children. So I have seven C's, seven C's. The first one is career opportunities. Make sure you have a competitive rate, benefits, and then demands for jobs for you, and also please consider your spouse also. And then next is the cost of living. Consider that the housing budget, the taxes per state is very different. So consider that. Next is the climate and weather. Not everyone loves the cold. Not everyone loves the warm weather of Arizona or Texas, or if you want a forever sunny like Hawaii, it's up to you. Next, also consider that we did not touch here is the crime rate. So make sure that
Mhm.
you live in an area where your children are safe, and then they can actually go to school with the school bus, and then like your neighborhood are safe, especially if you're walking around the area. So and then next one is the next C, the fifth C is commuting routes. So make sure you have access to public transport, you have access to airports, going to work. So the I know anything that's near to the hospital may be costly, but make sure that you consider the commuting routes too. And then the sixth C is childcare and close to family. So one of the reasons why I choose the state right now is I'm closer to some of my friends. So they can check on me, and then we can hang out anytime I want, because sometimes your neighbor here may be a mile away. So and also consider the childcare, especially if you have children, access to health, access to babysitter, access to daycare, and then and the school and the school district. Those are the things that are very important, especially if you're dealing with the child who are going to school. And lastly, the seventh one, choose yourself. Again, not all state be best state for you. Not every state is for your expectation. Now every state here in the US has its pros and cons, beauty and the ugly. So please do start your research. Now if try to consider, are you an outdoorsy person? Are you a person who loves the city life? Are you a person who loves nature, entertainment, and do some activities? Consider that one too. And we respect that. If you wanted to live in a busy metropolis like New York, or the chill environment of Kentucky, that's your thing, that's your vibe. And then I know at the end of the day you'll make a decision for you and for your family. Now before you make that decision, one advice that I get from my friend is, before you find another state, visit that state first and feel the vibe. Because if you feel like homey in that state, there's a lot of Filipinos, there's a lot of activities, there are things that you really want to do in that particular state, then that's it. Now, as what Kay said, research your state first, and explore your state and find your home, find that homey feeling away from home. And that's my advice.
I have nothing to say anymore. You summarized it all. There's one. How about you? Thank you for
Okay.
Marvin. Thank you
Oh,
so much for your time.
Sure.
Sir Marvin already discussed most of the things, so I'll just add on. so, so
Okay,
one thing I
noted.
would okay, one thing I would add on is, if you're choosing a state, or you have an offer, don't base it mostly for the entire state. Try to specify on which place you're gonna stay, because like here in Kentucky, or like any state, um, there's a place where in is like city area, rural, and like different kind of like statistics, like for the crime, the cost of living, all those kind of things. So you have to research based on your specific place that you'll be moving in. And like what Sir Marv said, it is ideal to like find a place that suits you more. Like if you're staying in if you like outdoorsy places, it's nice for you to go like in a rural place. If you like the city area, go to the city area. One thing to add on is, if you know how to drive, you can have both of those things. Like you can live like an hour away from the city area. So if you wanna feel like a city area, just drive to the city area, something like that. So always has like pros and cons. So research. Expenses wise, it differs from state to state. Salary also depends. Cost of living also depends on those kind of things. So you have to like go by numbers if you really want to see how you're gonna survive here in the US. And if you're um sorry, if you are gonna be able to survive here in the US, if you want to, just have to be madiscarte, not to mapili, not to just choose whatever works, like foods in your table or money in the table or something like that. What else can I say? Family. Family is always nice to have here in the US. So it is advantageous to stay with your family or near your family to help that additional support. But of course, it depends on the kind of family that you have. So and also don't expect too much for those who are not really close to you. Those one thing like I always hear about like their family is not really helping them.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is hard for them to help as well because they have their own struggles, and sometimes they might be in the same state but they might live like 3 or 4 hours away from your place, so the support is not really always there. So just one thing to like to consider when you're deciding for the state. What else can I say? Yeah, I think that's it for me. I think that's the advice I can give you guys. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. We were so amazed with all the information that we received from them. Thank you, and that
Thank you.
welcome for Marvin and Paul. And my last thing also is choose a state with a well-diverse community. I mean, let's not
Yeah.
forget about racism and bullying. It's part also of American dream. You have to be
Yeah.
strong. Remember, you come here, you come in America because you have a dream for yourself and for your family. There will always be a danger. It's not always heaven or honey. You have to consider those, how well diverse. That's one thing I love about New York. Well diverse, it's a melting pot. And when I came here, I don't really want to stay here because I hate snow. But then throughout the years, I fell in love. I saw more of the opportunity. And so we decided to buy a house. So like what they said, take notes. You can rewatch this if you miss the show. You can take notes, share it, and don't forget, GME every Sunday. But before that, I wanna pass it over to my co-host, Nurse Kaye. Any last few words before you wrap up? Nurse Kaye is like frozen.
The free spot.
Hey, are you still there?
Oh
And
my
she got
god,
lost.
we lost her.
Okay, so don't forget next week or our next show, December. What date is next week? Oh no, I lost my notes.
um, December 10th.
December 10. We will invite you again, Joe.
Okay.
So this episode is a very good look from our next episode 12, finding a house, be it renting or buying a house. There's a lot of consider. I know Nurse One just recently bought a house too, and Marvin also is in the process, and I just bought a house. It's a whole new world, right, Nurse One? So
Mhm.
don't forget December and next week, episode 12, finding a house. 8 a.m. Pacific time. I hope for all will be feel better and will come join us.
Yeah.
And there's eight too. We're not gonna wait for her. So thank you everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you Nurse One.
True.
Thank you Marvin so
You're
Thank
much
you.
for
welcome.
Thank you for
your
having me.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
too.
nuggets of wisdom. Have a good weekend everyone. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Congratulations on Wesleyan. We passed the comprehensive exam for 48 students and 89
Wow.
masters.
Congrats. Congratulations again to
Oh,
those
there
new
goes. Sorry,
masters.
I got kicked out.
Yay!
Okay, go ahead.
I
Just in
got kicked
time.
out. I don't know. I just my streamer just shut off on the last minute. I'm like, wait, wait, don't kick me out. Yeah.
Okay, Nerfin.
Yeah, so
Your
I
last
just want to
words
add
before.
my last
Mhm.
word is each state will have different offer, each city will have different offer, things to offer, okay? So the best is be open-minded all the time. Listen to all, be be a sponge. When you get here in the United States, be a sponge, which means try to learn as much as you can with to other people. It does not mean that you did do disagree. If even if you disagree with other person, it doesn't mean that you have to shut down your ears and your eyes. Okay, so if you hear something good about specific place or specific information, try to explore that. Be open-minded. Let other people speak to you. Let other people, be a good listener. So you will learn a lot, and then go home, process that information that you learn, and see if it's applicable to you or not. But if you're just gonna be a close-minded person, if you're gonna just shut down people just because, oh, you heard this state is not good, this city is not good, oh, you don't like that place, or those other people don't like that place, it doesn't mean that it doesn't fit them. It will not fit you too. Okay, most of the time I find myself um that this place was actually good for me. For me, like, I'm in Baltimore. Everybody would say, "Oh, Baltimore, I've heard of it. It's notorious for one of the most horrible places." But I'm gonna tell you, majority of the best hospitals in the United States are actually in the dangerous places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Yale is situated in New Haven, one of the most dangerous cities. Why is that? Because there's a huge amount of cases that's coming in. It's a good learning opportunity for us, and as a big population, there's a lot of cases that we handle. So when you go to those places, you're gonna be handling a lot of complicated cases. But when you go to the small rural area, there's gonna be less cases. Yes, it's safe, it's great, but if you're a person who's looking for big cases, to handle for your experience, then it might not be good for you. So again, so go to those places, finding out what's best for what's best in that place and what it can help you. Okay, what it can deliver to you. So please listen to all. It's never one size fits all. Not everybody wants to go to California. I'm one of those. I said I visited California. I've always want to visit my friends and family, but it doesn't matter how high the pay is. It's not for me. Okay, it doesn't matter how Manhattan is very great for me as a single person, but a person with a family is not best for me. So your life will change as you stay here in the United States. Your goals will change, your priorities will change. So please align yourself with these people with same values, listen to them, be open-minded all the time.
Thank you, Kaye. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you.
So I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week. Thank you,
Thank
Marvin,
you.
and there's one for your time. Thank you so much for our viewers. Please
Thank you so
keep sharing this
Again,
and
have a good time.
remember the ATL every Sunday. An immigrant nursing hopeful will help you achieve your
Yeah.
American dream. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Learning heart.